Welcome to the Sunday's edition with Vegas and Jim. Today's date is September the 29th, 2019, and Miss Vegas has a wonderful watch list for us.
Yeah, so we're definitely going to talk about the QQQ, KTOS, Roku, Shopify, and Johnson and Johnson. And I'm going to briefly touch on Tesla at the very end. But I just wanted to talk to you guys. It's been I find a challenge of trading this week. We just don't know like what the market really wants to give us, whether it's going to give us a red day, a green day. We saw that on Friday. Yes, there was a tweet about Trump considering to delist Chinese firms from the U.S. stock market. Saying that his administration is considering this, and this would be quite tense for the U.S.-China trade tension. Is that really going to happen? We don't know. We don't really know how even the delisting would work. Obviously, I think the two parties really want to work together and hopefully make some sort of China trade deal. But you know what? At the end of the day, even though this is probably not going to happen at this time, just the fact that a tweet went out made the stocks pull back. We saw Alibaba pulling back over 5%. JD.com fell 5.95. Baidu fell down 3.67. The iShares China Large Cap ETF was down 1.15%. So it's quite interesting how these tweets, obviously, market reacts super fast. Like everyone's like, what's going on? What's going on? And so that was what was going on. So on to the QQQs, Jim can show you there was a lot of money flowing in on the QQQ. I actually use the Cheddar Flow QQQ product, which gives me all the market's sentiment and also the money that's flowing in, whether puts and calls, block trade sweeps. And we can see that on QQQ on Cheddar Flow's app, which you can check out at cheddarflow.com. You can even, we'll put a code here in our YouTube channel. You can try even for free for 1 week. If you like it, you can get a discount. But anyhow, on the QQQ, you can see that there was money flowing in on the bearish side. There was a lot of money going in there. And let me tell you, it wasn't looking too good. And what is the QQQ made of? The QQQ, for those of you that hear it but not sure what it's about, it is the NASDAQ 100 index. It is composed of 100 of the largest international and domestic companies. It does exclude financial companies that are listed on the NASDAQ stock exchange, and it is based on market cap. So, for example, the companies that are on the QQQ are the companies like Facebook, Intel, Cisco, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, just to name a few. So those are the ones that are in the QQQ. So Jim, let's hear about QQQ if you'd like to talk more about it.
Yeah, we were a little bullish on it a little while back, and now we're turned bearish on it. And I feel the same way with Vegas. I think the market has a little negative sentiment going on right now, and we could expect another pullback on the QQQ, along with the SPY and a few other stocks. So we're going to be looking right here. We've got the 200 SMA, or now this is the SMA. No, this is the EMA at 182.40. And I think this can drop down. I think it can drop down a little bit more. I've got a target maybe right around this. I'm kind of just charting this up right now, 184.93. I'd like to see another red day candle maybe, and that 200's right here at 182.40. So we're going to be looking at puts on this come Monday morning. Some of us got in them Friday, along with the alert that we got from Cheddar that Miss Vegas just spoke about. The resistance level on this stock is going to be right up here, right around 189.69. But right now I'm seeing the 20-day 9 cross over the 34 EMA And then if it continues on down over that, under that 34 EMA, it can drop down to this next support level of 184.93 with the bottom line support right here, right around the 182 area, 181.99, 182, somewhere in that vicinity. So we're going to keep a good eye on this Monday, and this is the QQQ, and great alert on that, Miss Vegas. And the next one we're going to talk about is going to be one that I'm going to bring up, and Miss Vegas is going to mention a little bit about it. It's called the KTOS.
Yeah, so KTOS, they're in the Defense and Security Solutions Company. I mean, they've had a lot of news lately. I mean, there was news just this past week that they got a $7.5 million contract as a prime contractor for satellite enterprise management, but they also had a $35 million sole source contract for another aerial target spares. And then they got another contract back in August. If you remember, they got quite a few contracts. I mean, this company keeps getting contracts. I mean, these are not small. I mean, some of them are small, what people say small, 4 million, 5.7, but they've had some really good ones like 14.9, 16.3, 23 million. I mean, this company's getting some serious contracts on a regular basis. I mean, just in August alone, they had one, two, three, four, five contracts, and already in September, two good ones. I mean, two contracts, one for 35, one for 7.5. So, I mean, they're one to watch. You guys know they're a company that's in San Diego, and they provide the satellite pictures, and they have a lot of phenomenal technology. I mean, obviously, they're not going to get these contracts if their cybersecurity is not top notch. So, Jim, let's hear about Kratos. We call it KTOS because that's the ticker, but the company's called Kratos Defense and Security Solutions. And let's hear what's happening with that chart because we are actually liking it very much.
Yes, we are. And I'm going to pull up this SMA chart here I have, KTOS. Put this up on a year. What I liked about this on the SMA chart, the 200 SMA, is it pulled back and hit that 200 SMA here right at 1837. It's a little bit slower moving average than your EMAs, and I like using this SMA on a yearly chart. It's kind of firm to me, but I've noticed when I was looking at the chart, every time it touched this 200, it bounced off of it. 1, 2, 3, almost 4 there, 5, 6, almost 7, and then 8. We hit it again, and every time it's hit that, it's bounced off of it. So to me, this is a very bullish sign that we're going to get another rebound bounce on this. It did get, and with all the new contracts that are coming out, I just think this was kind of oversold last week. The way the whole market went, everything kind of sold off real good. ROKU, she mentioned a few, and this is another one, KTOS. I'm going to magnify this up just a little bit and show you what I'm talking about. See, we hit that 200 right here, it bounces up. We almost hit that 200 right here, and it bounced all the way up to 2185. And here we are again with a green candle at the end of the day. I think this is going to go ahead and bounce back up too. I have a resistance level at $20, 1995, and I'm personally looking at an option on this. Let me see what that option was. At November, the 2250 strike is what I'm looking at right now. The bid and ask is at 30 and 45. This is November 15th, the 2250 strike. I see it going up here to the 2150 area and finding a real hard resistance, maybe pulling back. And I see a pivot point in it right around the $20 area. So I'm going to be watching this one first thing out of the gate, and might buy me a couple of them to start with and just see what happens. But I'd like to see the trend, and Miss Vegas has been identifying trends every time she gets into these options, and it's helped a lot of traders out, plus it's helped me out. It's got me more focused on how to follow trends on a daily 1 minute or a daily chart. And if we can spot them trends out first thing, we more or less know to take it down or to take it up. But I think KTOS, I want to look at this thing come in Monday morning, and I want to take it up. I want to take it up. I want to take it up to somewhere to that pivot point area. I want to see $20. That's a whole $1.70 gain right there. And if we can break that 20, that's going to be the pivot point. We can bring it up to the third resistance of 2158. and that's going to be KTOS. It's a very interesting chart. Take a good look at it. Look at the SMAs and look at the EMAs. And the next one we're going to talk about is one that we've been watching real close. We called it all the way up from 50 bucks to 175, and then we identified the puts on it, and we called it to go down, and I think it's going to go down one more layer, and that's going to be ROKU.
Okay, so you know what, Roku, you'll definitely be talking about the chart, but they do have Tidal Music streaming service that has now arrived on Roku. And it is competing with the do-it-yourself streaming platform called Plex Music. And Tidal has officially launched on Roku. Very different than obviously Spotify. This company, Tidal, or Tidal, however they pronounce it, is known for the high fidelity offerings. They give audio files, great content, higher quality. They have compressed versions, um, so it makes the downloads faster. Quality's fantastic, and so they do have obviously different plans for customers, but it's now available on Roku, and also they have discounts for students and family plans, so that's interesting. So if you definitely have a Roku device, you can now access content through their streaming stick or box. So it makes it easier for you to play the content through your entertainment system or your surround sound setup. So that's really cool. So that's interesting, but definitely Roku's on my watch. I haven't touched it, and I'm gonna let Jim talk about that because it's on my watch, and I'm waiting to see what happens with this particular stock.
Yes, I've traded Roku and options quite a bit here lately, a couple times. I'm on a pretty good streak right now, thanks to the help of Miss Vegas. It took her a while to talk me into it, but I want to appreciate that she did. So I got a red line support here that we finally pulled back to. I called it at 130. I said we're going to get down here to this support level under 100 bucks, and I think that was right around the 98.54 area, and we did hit it. The reason why I called it is these two dots right here. I'm going to magnify this up a little bit. Well, that's a little too much, but to me, this was at one time a good resistance level, and then it became a good support level. And we did get oversold right down here, and this is where my second support level is here at 89.18. So that's what I'm looking for the next pullback. We could pull back to this 200 right here. This 200, this is the EMA right here at 93.28. But what I liked about this, and I'm going to show this up on the 20-day chart, that kind of intrigued me the last time it dipped. We had the big dip, and then we had kind of a little rebound right here. And I identified the rebound in the room, and I said we're going to pop up, maybe hit 105. And it bounced up, actually went up to about 108. And then once it hit that 108 area, and you see the resistance that's on this channel right here. And if I drew that trend line right there, it almost bounces out to that previous high we had on Thursday. And she broke down on Thursday and pulled back, and then we had this descending pattern right here. This is on, and you can see it. I mean, it's just very obvious that this thing wants to go down to that new support level. So let's see if this thing pulls back. That new support level, like I said, I'm going to pull this up again. 1 year daily. Magnify this up a little bit so we can see it. It's going to be at the 89.18 area. Now, if we're able to hit that, we're going to have another couple days behind it where it's going to bounce up and going to try to break that previous resistance that we had at 98. So that's a pretty good $9 bounce. And you're still going to have the bears tackling this because it was targeted for 60 bucks. Somebody mentioned it. Some analyst said it's ain't going to go down to 60 bucks. I can agree with that in a way because this thing was just on a tear. It ran all the way from 150 to 176.50. Then it's been nothing but red. And the red's going to end up finishing and stopping pretty soon. But what I'm looking at here is a TTM chart, TTM squeeze, and that's an indicator that tells me how this thing's going to turn. So let's look at a low support of 89.18. It can go a little bit lower than that, but that's where we're going to see if it's going to stop at. The first support, like I said, is 98.54. And the resistance level on this is going to be right around 111.25, the final resistance, if it decides to turn around the other way. Again, remind you, always look for the trend at the beginning of the day and don't try to rush into a trade. Let the trade come to you. This is going to be Roku. The next one we're going to talk about is another hot stock that's pulled back a little bit, and that's SHOP, Shop.
Yeah. So you know what, Shopify, it's one of a great Canadian story, great company. I mean, it's a shame to see it like this, but I do want to mention, the marijuana sector is still growing at a very fast pace. And I'm talking about specifically in the Canadian market, and Shopify's Canadian company. And I really, was reading an article recently that was put out there, but they were talking about how Shopify could stand to benefit a lot with the marijuana sector because, they plan to obviously, Shopify plans to extend their platform to the United States to sell CBD products. And I'm talking about the cannabidiol. So the caveat is that it has to be derived from hemp, which was legalized through the passing of the Farm Bill late last year. And while hemp derived CBD is still a small subset of the market, once it becomes federally permitted to sell marijuana, it's likely Shopify will allow other cannabis products to be sold as well. So, right now, this stock is limited in what it can do to make sure it's not in violation of any laws. And also, obviously, they don't want to jeopardize their listing on the exchange. But the cannabis market is still significantly very strong. And I think once they can expand in the US to sell CBD products, that's going to be a huge, significant opportunity that Shopify can definitely cash in on. And I think that's something to keep in mind. But you know what? Stocks pulled back. And I want to hear Jim about this chart because I really like the company. I like everything about Shopify. And I think these are sometimes bargain prices. But the thing is, I'm not sure if we've hit a bottom here. So I'd love to hear your take on Shopify.
Yeah, I just seen me just clear all them trend lines on this, so you've seen how busy I've been on this trade. Been watching this stock. We do have a low support right now at 292.47. It has dropped almost 100 points at 409.61 all the way to 305.69. So we've dropped 104 dollars in a matter of one, two, three, maybe a month. She's pulled back here, and we've got this 200 SMA that it could hit here at 252. If you see what I'm talking about, 252.68. But I've got a support level right now at 292.47, and then I'm going to draw another one right here at about 282.36, and then we'll get us a 282. Let me put that back on here. It didn't trade 282. I can change this around. Maybe my eyes were just a little bit off there. 283.77. Oh, I see what I was looking at. Right there at that 277.41. So I've got three lower supports that I want to look at come Monday. Or we could be able to almost starting to form an ascending triangle here too, where it might want to start to reverse. It just might want to. So this is going to be kind of a resistance breakout of 314.88 is what we need to look for. If we go past that 314.88, we can start making new highs. It is the Christmas season. I think this could be a Christmas play on, but we want to, if the market depends on how the market's going to act next week. I still think we're a little bearish, but we did have a pretty bearish week last week, and that could have been the results of of all the tweets and all the commotion with talking just the nationwide news, because the world's in kind of a recession, and we're still kind of bullish in my opinion. And the next support level is going to be right here at 304.27. So let's pull up the 20-day and have a look at the 20-day 1 hour. We did have a little bottom here at 292.47, so that's going to be your first support. If it hits that, it can retrace and start building a new channel in here between 292.47 and 314.88. I do believe this thing got a little overbought last year. If you look at the yearly chart, you can see what I'm saying. 2019 has been a good year. We had that big hard sell-off back in December on 2018. I called out the crystal ball, and look at here. You could have got in this trade at 117.64 and ran it all the way to 409, and just incredible. So it's overbought. I mean, stock that's up 300% like that, it's going to come down a little bit, and it sure did. So we've got a low support here at 277.41 and a resistance to break at 314.88. And I want to see if we can't build a new channel that I talked about on that 20-day, and I'll bring that back up. And that channel is going to be 292.47 to 314.88. Do me a favor, feel free anytime to pause these videos and write these numbers down, copy and paste these charts. Just don't share them on social media unless you put Vegas 9 name on them. I love stocks. The next one we're going to talk about is going to be Johnson & Johnson.
What a move on Johnson and Johnson. Thursday it pulled back and did not close that strong. And then it had news that they won an appeal on a $60 million tax case to New Jersey for a captive insurance company. So following that decision, it did reverse the tax court's decision and remanded the case back for further proceedings. So that's interesting that they won that case. And, if you look at the actual chart, you could see that the lows was at like down at 126.70. And then we can see it went as high as 129.40, at least for the first few hours of the morning. And then it kind of, slowly pulled back a little. But wow, that was a nice run from where it was. And unfortunately, I missed it. But for those of you that did see it and captivated on that and benefit from trading the stock or options, congrats to you. And Jim, what are your thoughts on Johnson and Johnson?
Hit a red line. I haven't touched this chart for a little while now, but it did pull back and hit what I call a red line support area, which is very serious buy at 126.83. If I'd have seen this hit that, I would have been on this trade just like that. And I'll show you in the daily 1 minute chart what I mean by a perfect opportunity. But we got a little channel in here that friend of ours, the Darvaz box, this is what kind of he looks at. He looks at these channels, and this channel to me looks to me like it might be ready to go in an uptrend. So we're going to pull up the 20-day, 1 hour. You had this knife that came out on Thursday, the huge big engulfing candles that went on a downward trend, and once it hit that support level, it bounced right back up to resistance. Same thing happened again on Friday. It pulled down and then had the big knives on Friday that run down and hit my low solid buy support at 126.75. Now, I'm going to tell you something about my extended trend lines. These orange trend lines are from 2018. That red one's along with that orange one. And then I added some new ones here, and these are the 2019 trend lines. So I'm using trend lines that I used a year ago on the same stock. And it seems like they pretty well much hit right where they're supposed to. I always say history repeats itself. You never want to try to erase that. So here we are. We're at 126.75. We bounced up on it. We're going to look at the daily 1 minute. The daily 1 minute right at the morning. Miss Vegas says, man, we got to catch these things when they do this. And, we're trying our best. But here we are. We pulled back to 126.75. It had a real nice run. It run right into that resistance line that I had on here that I've drawn up before on my extended trend line pattern. I had it at 129.41 and we hit 129.40. I haven't touched a trend line on this thing. So I'm going to add a couple more where I think that the resistances that we need to break. And I'm looking at, when I'm drawing these trend lines, I'm drawing them off not the wicks, but the bases of the candles. If the wicks hit them, that's a confirmation. So here we are. We got a 128.69 is what we got to break. We got a pullback support right here, right around the 128.27. To me, that seems like that's got to hold. If you see something like this right in here, if you see something like this first thing in the morning, it's something that you want to watch and get on there. Look at this. We had a beautiful little candle right here. I call it not a butterfly, but I can't think of the dragonfly candle. And then she'll go ahead and bounce on up. And but if you see a big, one thing I say, the first 15 minutes of the day is the most important. It'll put you in the direction for the rest of the day. But there was a few days last week that 15 minutes felt like an hour. But patience kicked in. We were able to make good trades. We hit Tesla, thanks to Miss Vegas is going to talk about that in a little bit. And there was a couple others that we just right out of the gate. Boeing. I mean, these are the ones you want to follow the trends. So we've got a low support on this stock. I'm going to say probably right around here at 127. 24. To me, this is a recession stock. With that news that came out, I think we're going to start rebounding on up. It's oversold right now, and I'm going to pull this yearly chart and just show you one more time, and then we can move on. But to me, we're down here at a bottom every time we hit this little channel. So we're going to try to create a channel in here, and eventually it's going to break out of resistance up right around the 130, 245 area, maybe up here even at the 133 area. But for right now, there's a very strong buy at 126.75. And that's Johnson and Johnson. And Miss Vegas has got one more she wants to shout about, a beautiful trade that we took. And it was just, I mean, it was a 2 to 3 day trade. Go ahead, Miss Vegas.
Oh yeah. So first of all, I gotta thank the amazing team at the Trade Exchange. These guys are on top of news. Phenomenal news desk. I love them. And I've talked to them many times on the phone. These guys know what they're doing. They have a platform made for traders, built by traders. These are all former Wall Street traders. They're all retired. They don't trade, but they actually alert news and give great information. So these guys know their stuff. And let me tell you what, they alerted news immediately. They're watching all kinds of news all the time in real time, and I'm telling you, it's a huge help. And they alerted a news about a leak of an email that Elon Musk mentioned that they might have a shot at having 100,000 cars this quarter. Whether it's true or not, we don't know. But what we did do was we reacted on the news. And right away, within minutes, as soon as I heard that, I was right away looking for option calls. And I called the trade idea in our options team for the 245 calls. They were 30 cents. I also gave the calls for the 250 calls as well. And I think those at the time might have been like 40 cents, maybe. I can't remember. Sorry, maybe they were less. Sorry, not 50, 40 cents. Maybe they were like 25
They were,
cents.
yeah, they were 20.
Um, how much? 20
Yep,
or 18 cents?
yep,
So
20.
I gave the calls for the 245 and the 250, and let me tell you, so fast. This happened so fast, okay? I know people in the room told me they got filled at 27, 30, 31 cents. So $31 a contract on average. And those went to over $2 a contract. So imagine you even had 5 contracts. You put in 150 bucks based on an entry of $30 a contract. You would have made 5 contracts times $2, $1,000. I mean, that is just insane. Like amazing, amazing return on investment. And that was just beautifully traded. You see, Stock Authority said thanks. Shamigo was thrilled. He was able to miss it, but he loved it. He said, great call. He loved it. Abby was great. Actually, I think Shamigo got in. Sorry, Abby missed the call. But you know what? A huge shout out to Trade Exchange. They rock, and I just love these guys. And Jim, what's our thoughts on Tesla? I mean, I know that today, by the way, tonight, that Elon Musk is giving an updated presentation in Texas, in Cameron County, and he's talking about the company's ambition to build a vehicle that can launch and land multiple times. And he's going to talk about the rocket. SpaceX has an early prototype at the Texas facility, and they actually just finished the first assembly of the Starship. And they're also building a second Starship rocket in Florida, where apparently they plan to conduct some launches. So I'm sure lots of people will be tuned in tonight. And this starts, by the way, right now as we speak. So I'm waiting for it to start. I think it's a little bit delayed, but it's live right now as we speak. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, I jumped in Tesla too with her on this, and plus, I also I sold it and then I got back in it for a swing trade. I bought the October 4th, got in at right around 123, 260 strike, and I sold it right that morning once it hit my resistance at 232. At and I only had two shares, but that was like $220 overnight. So I was tickled to death just to even get that trade, and that was a good way to start my Friday. But we're going to be looking at Tesla right here. Now, Tesla's been a fun ride. I mean, I was calling this thing out real strong when it was up here above $300. Followed that channel for a while. You look at the 3-year chart, as I'm going to pull it up right now. You can see this thing was hovering up here, and I think it's way oversold. And I'm going to repeat that. I think the stock's way oversold, and it's due for a new leg up. But you're going to have your bears out there. You're going to have your skinny men trying to short this stock, and I'm going to join them. You know, I'm going to be buying the puts along with them. We're going to be watching the trends on them. But I had a resistance on this, and I'll pull this up on a 20-day. And I called this out. I told the room, I said, if this thing gets up here to right around the 248.50 area, to get out, unless you think it's going to break that resistance and go up to 251.60. Well, first thing Friday, it run right up there to hit that 248.50, and I sold it right off the bat. I was up 90%. I said, I'm going to take it. And then she went ahead and started pulling on back, and I thought I could get back in it and take the bounce up again. Vegas called a put on it. She rode the put on down and probably took the profit on that. But I also had to cost average down on the trade, and I did. And this was a day trade, and it was on a Friday, so it was going to expire. And I got down in here, and I had to buy it at 8 cents. I bought it at 18. I got in at 31, and I sold it at I think at right around 30 cents. So I was able to get out of it with a $100 gain. No, actually, I got out of it right around 22. So I was able to get out of it with a $100 gain. I ended up buying 30 contracts. I only started out with 10. So it was kind of a nerve-wracking trade for me at the end of the day when the Trump tweet came out and the market crashed and pulled back. So we also called this trade out at 210, and it bounced up from that 210 and ran all the way up to 253. And then we had this hard sell-off that came out on might have been Tuesday, as you see. I mean, this thing was up here at my resistance line of 243.40, and then she went ahead and sold off real hard down here to 218. So this is a very volatile trade, but I'm telling you, once we break this resistance of 248.50, we're going to start making a new channel on it. We do have a trend line that follows down, and we've touched it on bottom almost every time. So we want to see this break out past the 242, past my resistance level of 243.40, get up here to this 248.50, and start nudging its way up. If not, just follow the trend. It's easy to spot first thing in the morning. I mean, it's just real easy. I mean, there might be a time where you hit this resistance and you want to take your profit. But what it goes up comes back down, and what goes down comes back up. You just have to follow the trend, and that's going to be Tesla, and that concludes our market report. I just want to give special thanks to Miss Vegas for fine tuning my trading skills. I hope I've helped her a little bit, and we are helping the room a lot. And just don't rush into trades. Try to find the supports. Study, learn your own way and skills. You can't just get into a trade blindly. Open up your eyes, start doing a little more research, take the time out and learn your own specific way of trading, and eventually you'll catch on and you'll start making some good money. And Miss Vegas?
You know what? Couldn't have said it better. And at the end of the day, you just got to trade whatever is on this tape. I mean, it's tough to trade sometimes, and you just got to sometimes not trade. I mean, sometimes I just want to just make it clear. You don't have to trade nonstop. You don't have to trade every day. I know some people that they're full-time traders and they don't actually trade nonstop. They actually wait for a good setup. They rather just say, you know what? I don't feel comfortable trading right now with the market being so crazy. I'm just going to wait for a good opportunity. And then when the opportunity comes to them, they take it. And the money that they haven't been making over the last couple days or so, you know what? They make it, no problem, when the good setup comes. So don't get discouraged sometimes. It's better to have money to trade with than money that you actually just trade and then you end up losing because you just want to trade. So take your time and find a good setup. Wait for the opportunities. There's always an opportunity, but sometimes it's tougher. And you know what? Just sit on your hands, sit on cash. And that's what many people are doing. And there's nothing wrong with that. So don't feel that you're missing out. That is the worst feeling. And I know what it's like because I've done it myself. So I sometimes got to talk to myself too and say, okay, no more trades for today and just not trade anything. So feel free to follow us on our Twitter feed and come by the room. We always have a free trial available. You're welcome to come by. Come check it out. Come say hello. Come share ideas. Come learn. It's not just a channel that comes and just calls ideas. We talk on voice. We explain things. Jim explains charts a lot. And we have a lot of good, strong traders that also share lots of ideas and great interaction of team people here. So come on in and love to meet you guys. Have a great weekend and we'll see you on Monday.
Yep. On our website here, we got this little Tweety bird. Make sure you hit that bird and follow us on Twitter. We're up to 667 followers now. We want to bring this up to at least 1,000 by the end of the year. And that's going to be our Twitter page. Also subscribe and ring that bell. And this is the Aftermarket Report, September the 29th, 2019. And we love stocks.